Would you pass the doofus test? Okay, so first of all, you need to understand what a doofus test is. And my mentor, years and years ago, put everybody through a doofus test. If you were having a meeting with him, he would make it in a hard location. He would make it at an inconvenient time. If it was a birthday, anniversary, that would be great. If he could make it such that you had to fight traffic both ways, that would be good as well. And what he was trying to do, and actually did, was determine how committed somebody was. And so what's really important in that doofus test is that you pass that doofus test. In this process, you're going to be talking to some very big hitters. And I could go an hour on how to do this, but let's make this a short, actionable video. So you're going to be talking to big hitters. There are a bunch of things that big hitters look for, and a way that you can improve your odds of convincing them that they should do something with you. Now, this applies to, obviously, for the board, for professionals, for banks, etc. So one of the first things is, and it's amazing to me how many people don't do this, dress for success and be on time. I never could understand why someone would not be on time. You get there early. When I was interviewing a lot of people in a corporate environment, if the person came 1 minute late for the interview, I would say, I don't need to see him, to the HR VP. Don't need to see him. This is the honeymoon. This is as good as it gets. Yeah, but he got lost on the way here. Well, guess what? He flew in last night. He didn't have anything to do other than get to a hotel room. He was staying 10 minutes away from our location. Why didn't he drive it last night, to be sure? Why didn't he leave early so he was sitting in his car outside to come in a few minutes early, preferably, but at least on time? So no, I'm not going to see him. And the same thing, I take real note of whether somebody's on time or not. So I would encourage you to do that. Dress for success, be on time. Most of the time, if you're talking to a big hitter, be respectful. Mr. So-and-so, Ms. So-and-so, Mrs. So-and-so, if you know what their status is. Let them tell you, call me so-and-so. Be respectful. Come prepared to that meeting. Write down the questions that you want to ask that person. Preferably write out an accusation audit. What is it that I'm going to hear from that person that might be objections that I should be able to handle, and what are those? So write those out. Big hitters really only care about a few things initially. They're going to usually ask, why is this important to you? You chose this industry. Why is it important to you? You ought to have a story behind that, as opposed to just, I think we can make a lot of money. Some emotional story, some lesson in your life that led you to have interest in that industry, that would be good. Don't make it up, make it real. Number two, what are you going to do differently than everybody else in this industry? Most big hitters don't want to follow the crowd. They want to do something different. And you don't get this a lot, but if you can think about this, why is the world a better place because of your great idea? And there have been big hitters that have asked that. So remember all those things. Another pet peeve of mine is, I'm sorry. And people tend to just use that as an excuse for everything. I'm late. I'm sorry. I didn't get it done when I said I was going to get it done. I'm sorry. I would eliminate I'm sorry from your vocabulary, because what I always think to myself and oftentimes say, you're not sorry. Because if you were sorry, you would have planned accordingly and you would have been on time. You would have been prepared. You would have gotten it done when you said you were going to get it done, which is another piece of passing a doofus test. Under promise and over deliver. It is much better if you say, I can get you that by next Tuesday, and you get it to them on Friday or over the weekend, as opposed to, I'll get it to you no later than next Tuesday. Next Tuesday comes, you don't get anything. So now you've begun to instill in the other person, if you get another chance with that person, which oftentimes you won't, that you can't be trusted, that you can't do what you say you're going to do. And it's super important. Under promise, over deliver. Okay? And then you follow up. Thank somebody for the meeting that you had. Write them a short note, handwritten note, correspondence card. Send them an email. I'd prefer a card because they'll keep that and remember that. But either way. And ahead of the meeting, maybe send an email that just says, Mr. Smith, looking forward to our Zoom call tomorrow at 9 o'clock. We'll talk to you then. Maybe include the Zoom link again, certainly. So again, we could go into a lot more detail, but those are important ones. Now, with respect to being prepared, I actually prepared some thoughts for this. So let me check my list and see. Okay? The follow-up meeting tomorrow, accusation audit, big hitter. Okay. Well, I got them all with the exception of be enthusiastic. People like to follow people that are excited about what they're doing. So I hope this is helpful for you. I hope you take some of those to heart. If you just put in the ones I mentioned, you will separate yourself from, I'm going to say, 90% of the people who don't come dressed, who don't come on time, who don't say what they're going to do and accomplish it. Under promise and over deliver again. Be respectful again. Be concise. Have an agenda. Have an accusation audit. All those things will help you. If you do not know this process, go over to brucewhipple.com. You can get the Acquisition Advantage Bootcamp. That's the best product that I've put out in terms of the success, the steps, how to do it, and we do a monthly call for only Acquisition Advantage boot camps where I do a live Q&A. That's coming up shortly. We do that every month. And then if you don't know how to start some conversations, I actually put together some conversation starters, and you can get that as well. Just go over to my website, sign up for the free course. You'll be on the email list so you get actionable emails, and it will give you some suggestions on conversation starters. If you want to go there directly, just go to brucewhipple.com/get-class. But I hope that's helpful. I hope that you put those into action. If you do, your results will be better. I've mentioned this in an email, but there are 2 openings in the VIP Mastermind. If you have gone over to my website, understand what that covers, and have interest, understand the time required, the financial commitment, email me. Ignore the sold out. I like to talk to people before I take their money and make sure they're a fit. So I hope that's helpful, but most important, remember the doofus test and ask yourself, based on what we've talked about here, would I pass that test or not? And the more times you can say, yes, I would pass that test, the better off you'll be.